That's not me. That's not who I am. You changed. You did the hard things. You broke the old patterns. You said no when you used to say yes. You started when you used to wait. But when you look at who you've become, not the physical mirror, but the mirror of identity, you don't recognize the person looking back. And a voice whispers, "You're faking it." This video is about why the person you're becoming doesn't feel like you yet, and why that doesn't mean you're going in the wrong direction. If you're feeling this way, subscribe. We make videos about the silent struggles of adulthood every Tuesday and Friday. Let me tell you about someone who felt exactly this. He'd changed, actually changed, not just talked about it or tried once. He'd rebuilt habits, shifted patterns, done the things he'd been too scared to do for years. And it worked. Objectively, it worked. He was different. But it didn't feel like him. Every new choice felt deliberate, conscious, like he was playing a role. And everything that used to be automatic, the old reactions, the old responses, those felt like him. It was like wearing clothes that didn't fit yet, technically the right size, just not broken in, not shaped to his body, still stiff, still foreign. And he couldn't shake the feeling, I'm pretending to be someone I'm not. Here's the thing about that voice, the one that says, you're faking it. It sounds like it's protecting you, like it's keeping you honest, stopping you from becoming fake or performative or losing yourself. But that's not what it's doing. It's defending who you were, not who you are, and definitely not who you're becoming. That voice says, you're not really like this. You're trying to be someone you're not. People are going to see through it. And here's what he realized. The voice wasn't wrong about the facts. He wasn't like this before. He was trying to be different than he'd been. But the voice was wrong about what that meant. It wasn't betrayal. It was update. Because here's where he was stuck. He wasn't who he used to be, but he also wasn't fully who he was becoming yet. He was in the gap, the identity gap. The old patterns didn't work anymore. They'd stopped fitting months ago. But the new patterns still felt foreign, unnatural, like wearing someone else's skin. And that gap between who you were and who you're becoming is the most uncomfortable place to exist. The old you is gone. You can't go back even if you wanted to. You've seen too much. You know too much. The old defaults feel wrong now. But the new you isn't automatic yet. It's still effortful, still conscious, still something you have to think about. So you're living in between, and in between feels like nowhere. He spent months there, in that gap, feeling like he was acting, like he was forcing something that should feel natural, like he'd lost himself somewhere along the way. Until he understood something that changed everything. The reason the new version felt fake wasn't because it was fake, it was because it wasn't automatic yet. See, here's what he'd been assuming. If something is really you, it feels natural, automatic, effortless. And if something feels forced or conscious or deliberate, that means it's not really you. It means you're faking. But that's backwards. Automatic doesn't mean true, it means familiar. The old version of him was automatic because he'd been running those patterns for years. Of course they felt natural. He'd practiced them 10,000 times. The new version felt effortful because it was new. He'd only practiced it 100 times, maybe less. But effortful doesn't mean fake. It means unfamiliar. There's a difference. And here's what he'd been missing. Every automatic thing he did, every reaction that felt like him was learned. At some point, it was new. At some point, it felt forced. He just didn't remember that part, because once something becomes automatic, you forget it was ever conscious. So he was defending an old version of himself, a version built by who he was at 20, as if it was the real him. But that version was just software, old software running on outdated information. He thought about it like this. Every few years, you update your phone. New operating system, new features, better performance. You don't say, "This isn't my phone anymore." You say, "My phone got better." Your identity is the same. It's not supposed to stay fixed. It's supposed to update. Version 1.0 of you was built when you were 20, with the information you had then, the fears you had then, the limits you believed were real then. Version 2.0 was built at 25, a little wiser, a little braver, but still limited by what you knew. And now you're running version 3.0, or trying to. But you keep defending version 1.0 as if that's the real you, as if updating is betrayal. It's not betrayal, it's growth. And the question that finally freed him was this: why would you defend a version of yourself that was built by someone who knew less than you know now? Because that's what you're doing when you say, "That's not me." You're defending a version built with old information, old fears, old limits. The new version, the one that feels foreign, is being built with what you know now, what you've learned, what you've survived. It's not fake, it's just new. And new always feels wrong until it doesn't. Because here's what happened eventually. One day he realized he wasn't thinking about it anymore. The new behaviors, the ones that used to feel like performance, had become automatic. Not because he forced them, just because he'd done them enough times that his brain stopped flagging them as foreign. It was like the clothes finally broke in, shaped to him, comfortable, natural. He didn't remember exactly when it happened. There was no single moment. Just one day he noticed, wait, this feels like me now. The person he'd been becoming had become who he was, and the old version, the one he'd been defending as the real him, felt distant, like someone he used to know, someone he outgrown. He didn't lose himself, he updated. Here's what you need to understand. The person you're becoming isn't going to feel like you yet, because you're used to who you were. Identity lags behind behavior, always. You change what you do first. You change how you feel about it second. You change who you are last. Months after the behavior shifts, identity catches up, and suddenly the thing that felt like pretending feels like you. The discomfort isn't a sign you're going in the wrong direction. It's a sign it's working. You're not faking being someone you're not. You're becoming someone you're not yet. There's a difference, a huge difference. Faking is pretending to be something you'll never be. Becoming is growing into something you're building. And right now, you're in the building phase, the awkward phase, the "this doesn't feel like me" phase. That's not failure, that's the process. If you're in that place right now, changed but don't recognize who you've become, there's another video about trusting the invisible progress you can't see yet. Link right here. See you there.